my next book, which will release in September, is called Still My Forever, and it's kind of my Mr. Holland's Opus meets the Music Man story, set in 1905 in a small town, Kansas. A young man has gone to New York hoping to become a composer, and things don't go so well, so he's back in town, kind of lick his wounds, basically, and start over. But my brother is actually a published composer. My daughter writes beautiful poetry, and so I put the two of them together, and I said, I need a song for my hero to gift the heroine. And so between the two of them, they wrote this beautiful song called Still My Forever. And part of it is wherever you go, I'll go there too. It's kind of the Ruth and Naomi thought behind it. And so that song plays into the story and the love between the hero and the heroine. So I just think it's really fun to have my brother and my daughter involved in the book with their talents.
That is awesome. So when you look at what you want readers to experience through that book, that forthcoming book, how would you respond?
I would say I want them to understand that God makes better plans for us than we can make for ourselves. You know, we plot our courses and so forth, but God is really the one who directs our path. And when we follow his path, that's where we find our joy and fulfillment. That's kind of the thrust, I guess the theme of the story is to seek his will above our own.
Kim Vogel Sawyer joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio. It is the 2022 Blue Lake Christian Writers Conference near Andalusia, and Kim is one of the faculty members of the Christian Writers Conference here. So tell me just a bit about your input. What are you going to share, or have you already shared here?
Well, I taught yesterday for beginning writers, just kind of the basic points of novel writing, and then some of the newbie mistakes that we make, how we can avoid those. I was a fifth grade teacher in my former life, so I really do enjoy teaching, and I like working with new writers. I was so blessed by experienced writers coming alongside me and helping me get started. I want to be able to pay that forward just a little bit. It's almost funny what I'm teaching this afternoon. It's how to build a speaking ministry, because when I started writing, I had no intention of being a speaker. I like writing. I don't like speaking, but they do kind of go hand in hand. I had to learn to do that. So I'm a very nervous speaker. I'm kind of a reluctant speaker, but I've learned the necessity. And I've also learned that when we do things that we're called to do, even when we don't feel like we're equipped, he guides us along. He helps us do it. So I'm able to hopefully say something of value.
Well, you were talking earlier about following the path that God has directed.
Yes.
And you actually wrote a book a number of years ago. It was your first book, as I understand it, called, if I'm not mistaken, Waiting for Summer's Return.
Yes.
Tell me just a bit about how that came to be.
It's kind of an interesting story. In 1981, I was driving my oldest daughter to get her immunizations. She was 4 months old, driving to get her immunizations, and I spotted a little cemetery off the side of the road, just 5 headstones in a row, and I was intrigued. So when I came back, I stopped and I looked. It was a headstone of a father and 4 children. One of them was a baby that had actually been born after the father's death, and that just really captured my attention. I wondered what happened here. And so I ended up writing my own story about the woman, the mother, the wife that was left behind, and that grew into this story. It was written many, many years ago. I pitched it several places, got several rejections, gave up on it, thinking, well, this isn't going to work. And did my teaching, but my health began to fail, and I couldn't teach full time, and I had half days free. So used those half days to write again and started submitting again, captured an agent's attention, and she submitted the book. And so it did end up being picked up by Bethany House. And yes, it was my first novel released. It's funny because I started writing in 1981, started submitting in 1991, got an agent in 2003, and first book releases in 2006. So it was not a short journey.
Wow, I was just trying to add that up.
Yeah.
That's
it was 25 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so not a short journey by any stretch of the imagination, but God had his fingers on it all the way.